Alright, so today's video will be featuring this palette right here. This is a Stila Eyes Are the Window palette in Seoul. This was like a very big thing like a few years ago. I feel like now this palette is not necessarily talked about that much, and I mean, I used to like it a lot. I used to use it every now and then, and now I don't. But then I was cleaning some stuff out and I found this and I'm like, you know what? Let's just try it out and see what happens. Before anything, I always have to put my base on. This is basically a stick foundation. If you're new here, I use stick foundation on my eyelids and I set it with a powder, and that pretty much is my base for every eyeshadow look that I do. I do this on myself and everyone that I do makeup on, and it works just fine. Sometimes I regret moving you guys so close to my tutorials because my face is not the greatest because I have a lot of acne. I have this little friend right here. I haven't named him yet, but maybe we'll think of a name in this video. So I'm going first with this color right here. This is the shade called Individual, and this will be my transition color. I really like the mattes. I mean, they're super pigmented, as you can see, and they're quite easy to blend. I just want to swatch a few of these colors because I really haven't touched this palette in a while, so I don't know what's good and what's not. So I'm doing a few swatches, and there do seem to be some colors in here that are not as pigmented as I'd like. This color especially, the second one from the top on my wrist, like right here, this one, it's not pigmented at all. It's kind of really choppy, which is driving me nuts. This is this color right here, which I think is called Character. I mean, it's supposed to have like this micro glitter in it, but just really it's super choppy, which is kind of driving me insane. So not going to use that. However, there are some colors in here that I'm kind of interested in, so we'll see what happens. So I'm going to try and use this color right here and just create a sort of like a halo eye and see what happens. Not gonna lie, it's not the most pigmented color I've ever seen, but it's so weird just like using a palette for the first time in a while. You really get to see how your preferences have changed and everything, because this honestly is a little bit choppy. I feel like I can work with it though, but yeah, it's still a little bit choppy. Okay, so I'm not sure if I can call this a first impressions or not because I have used this palette. I just haven't used it in a while, so yeah, but my first kind of impressions of this palette is that the mattes are not my favorite. So far the really good ones that I've swatched, those have seemed to be the shimmery colors, the top and bottom color. I'm not sure if you can see or not, but yeah, some of the mattes here are good, but not all of them. My take on this palette right now is that the colors are really pretty, but it's a little bit difficult to blend, which is kind of driving me nuts, but it is still workable, which is also nice. Another reason for me using this palette is just how similar it is to a lot of different eyeshadows. I feel like everyone has a palette similar to this with the similar colors that I'm using in their own collection. So honestly, you don't really have to buy this palette anyway. You can just look for similar colors in your own makeup collection, which is of course really good because I like to just focus on the artistry of makeup rather than the consumerism. And the thing that I'm noticing with these shadows is that they are a little bit dry, which is not something that I find very common in today's makeup. A lot of eyeshadows right now I think are a lot creamier, and this is not to say that these eyeshadows are terrible, but I just feel like I have to adjust to apply them. And that's not to say that this palette wouldn't work for anyone, but I just personally prefer eyeshadows that are a lot more buttery and easier to work with. I just feel like these eyeshadows definitely need a lot more attention to blend. So now I'm using a clean fluffy brush and I'm going to dip it into this color right here. And this is what I'm going to use to blend out the edges of this eye. This is something I do for almost every eyeshadow look. I always try to go in with a lighter shade and use it to blend things out a little bit more. It's kind of like erasing some of the makeup or just like sort of blending it out, which is of course what it is. But next I'm going to go in with a tighter brush. This is the Morphe E17 and I'm using it to pick up this black shade right here. I kind of like that. Huh. Wait, let me see how this swatches. This black shade is really nice. It swatches really well. It is dry, but it's not as dry as this shade I'm feeling. But that's like a good black, because even though it's not like a true black, which is what some of you might prefer, and it used to be what I prefer. I used to prefer like a really deep black, but nowadays I kind of like a black that I can build up, and this seems to be something that you can really build up pretty easily. And also what's interesting is that the gradient of this shade is even. This is a shade, well, let me focus. Hold up. Okay, so I just want to show you guys a comparison between the blendability of these shades. So obviously these are swatches. So how do you tell in a makeup store which shades will be the most easy to blend? So of course the easiest way is to just put them on your eyes, but a really easy way is to tell by swatches. So you can see that this black shade right here, this has a really nice gradient to it. Please focus. Yeah, this has a really nice gradient to it. There's no real skipping or anything like that. It's even. It's a nice gradient. That blends out really well. However, this shade right here, it's very choppy. You can see it's very difficult to get like a nice gradient, and that was me kind of layering it on twice and trying to get the gradient. Didn't happen. So that is a way for you to tell which shades are blendable and which shades are not. Obviously, like I said before, it is easier to just put it on your eyes, but if you're in a makeup store like Sephora or Ulta, you can't necessarily try it out yourself. So a really easy way is to just swatch them and see if you get that gradient. And if you don't get that gradient, then chances are it may or may not be as blendable as you want it to be. Now I'm going back to this brush just to help blend out the edges a bit more. Yeah, see, I really like how that blended. That blended a lot more easily than the brown shade, and it works. It looks so beautiful and smoky. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, this black is definitely something that I love. So let's just try the other eye. So that's what I've done so far on my eyelids. I am really liking this look so far. As you guys already know, the brown shade wasn't really my cup of tea, but the black shade, oh wait, no. The black shade is so beautiful. It is really good. So for the center of my eyelid, I don't know. I'm leaning towards these 4 shades, and I'm not sure which one I want to use. I know for the fact that these are all really beautiful and very pigmented. This is what they look like. I'm kind of leaning towards the gray, to be honest, so that's what I'm going to be doing on my eyes. Oh, that does look really nice. So now I'm going to take the smaller brush from earlier and just use this to sort of clean up the edges a little bit. Hey, maybe I should name this tutorial 50 Shades of Grey, even though it's just 1 shade. I want to try out a new foundation. This is the Rimmel Match Perfection 24-Hour Moisture Pore Blurring Effect Foundation. This is a foundation that's only a few dollars. I got it at the store. I was like, ooh, cheap. I'm gonna go for that. And yeah, I mean, I really like the other one that they have, the one with a red top. That one, I can't remember the name. I think it's a 24-hour wear something something. I don't know. But anyway, this is a foundation that I haven't tried yet. Actually, no, that's a lie. I tried it with a brush. I tried it with the Morphe M439 brush, and I wasn't really a fan of it. It just sat on my skin and didn't really look good. So I'm going to try and use it with a sponge and see if it looks a little bit better. So I won't be able to give you like a comprehensive review, but you'll just be able to see what it looks like on my skin, and I'll determine if I want to keep wearing it and keep trying it. So we'll see. Huh. Yeah, I do like that a lot better with the sponge. This is, of course, a beauty blender. I do love my beauty blender. I call it a booty blender because I feel like that's more fun and inappropriate, so why not? I do have to apply some more on because I just ran out of that foundation that I had on my hand already pretty quickly. Oh wait, that's too much. Okay, there we go. Alright, so while I'm just beauty blending my face, let's just talk about 50 Shades of Grey, shall we? So, I'm actually considering going to see the movie. I don't think I will, honestly, because I honestly don't have time to see movies these days. I just have school, and that's pretty much my life. So yeah, I don't think I'll see it, but I have seen the previous 2 movies, and I read the books. And my personal review of 50 Shades of Grey, it is hella cheesy. Hella cheesy. And I just watch it because I mean, I like Jamie Dornan. I just really like Jamie Dornan a lot because I used to watch him a ton in The Fall, which is one of my favorite British TV shows. Haven't seen it in a while though, but I really liked him in that. And that's kind of why I started getting into it, because he was in it. So now onto this foundation. To be honest, I kind of like it. I mean, it dries down pretty nicely and it has like this nice luminescence to it. It's not matte, but then again it's not dewy either. It's just like this natural finish, which I kind of really like. It has like a very like, it doesn't have a very high coverage, which I think is nice for every day. And I feel like with the sponge it looks really beautiful. So to use it with the sponge, with a brush, it kind of just sits on the face in a really weird way and I really don't like it. But yeah, I mean, you might be seeing this foundation in another video. But to be honest, in all honesty, I'm just going to be frank with you here. My one and only true love is really the Fenty Beauty foundation. So I like this foundation, but I don't like it better than the Fenty Beauty foundation, if that makes any sense. I'm just going to be using this for my contour. This is a Morphe M530. M530. And I'm going to be using this contour palette that I have right here. This is from City Color, and it's their Contour Effects 2 palette. A really nice palette if you're looking for a really inexpensive contouring palette. They have a highlight shade, they have a bronzing shade, and then they have a contour. It's really good. And then they also have their original one, which I also like. This is pretty much a very similar look, but the fact that this is a contour shade and this is a highlight shade in the same palette kind of like really confuses me, because I feel like they should have taken this color and put it in this palette in place of this shade right here. Because if you're talking about a highlight shade for a deeper skin tone, this shade seems a lot more realistic than a straight up white shade. Whereas this color would be way too dark for someone with a fair skin tone, but this color would be more realistic. Do you get my meaning? So that's why I have two of these, and to be honest, they're so inexpensive, it's okay, but my critique is I wish that they would switch around the colors a little bit to make it a little bit more accessible to everyone. I'm going to be using a mixture of these two colors to bronze up my face. Or just to contour, to be honest. I don't really do bronzing and contouring. I just sculpt my face, and for me that's enough. I remember when I used to be all like, you should always set your face before you apply your powder products on top. And yeah, it actually does help you enormously when it comes to helping things blend out a little bit. And in all honesty, I feel like if I did apply powder, this contour would be a lot easier to blend. In my opinion, I just feel like I am more comfortable when I have less layers of powder on my face, which is why I don't really feel like setting my face nowadays anymore. It's just not my favorite thing, because I just feel like if I apply more layers, then my face feels like it can't breathe, and I don't like that feeling. So that's why I'm breaking a lot of my rules and not setting my face, when I probably should, but you do what you want. So what palette do you think I'll use for my under eye makeup? This palette, of course. What I'm doing here is I'm just using a little bit of that black eyeshadow to apply it to my under eye area. Okay, so for my inner corner highlight though, I want to apply Kitten, which is of course a classic shade. I'm just going to put this into my inner corner. I feel like it might be a little bit overpowering though, because we have that gray shade. Yeah, I'm not loving this because I feel like it's distracting. Or maybe not. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take this brush, which I'm just going to load up with a little bit of the black, and I'm going to apply this in between my inner corner highlight and the gray color. So it sort of breaks things up. Yeah, and I think that looks a lot better. Okay, so now it's time for a highlight. I've been waiting for this. I want to use a highlight which I haven't used in a while. And this is the e.l.f. Baked Blush. And technically it's supposed to be a baked blush, I know, but to be honest, this is a highlight in my personal opinion, so I'm going to use it as such. Boom shakalaka boom boom. See? It's kind of pretty. Oh, I have come up with a name for my zit. Like the one right here. Yeah, the one right here. I'm going to call him Timothy. Timothy the Zit. I think I also might have had a zit called Dahlia. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to line my eyes and I'm going to tight line my top and bottom lash line. So for lashes, I'm using the House of Lashes Iconics because you know what? I'm iconic, so might as well make my lashes match me as a person, so we're using these. So now I'm going to do my lower lash mascara. I like to wait and do it after I've applied my lashes just because I feel like that makes everything less messy personally. So that's why I do my upper lash and my bottom lash mascara separately usually. So when I'm editing, I'm like, do it like this so it's like looks more pretty, but then I'm like, ooh, you know. Okay, I'm already getting laugh lines. That's kind of annoying. I laugh too much. Well, what can I say? I'm just such a laughy person. I like to laugh at myself all the time. Alright, so now I'm going to do my brows. For this, Anastasia dip brow. What can I say? Love this stuff. I always feel like with brows, I'm very specific, but at the same time, the way my brows turn out, they're definitely not as perfect as a lot of people have them here on the internet, on social media in general. I'm not a big fan of like the super sculpted like Instagram brow. I mean, there's a bold brow and then there's like the Instagram brow that doesn't even look like a real brow anymore. It just looks like it was like drawn on, which is not my favorite look. This is the end of this makeup look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really love how this look came out. Plus, it matches my shirt, which was kind of accidental. I really wasn't thinking of my shirt when I chose these colors, but that's just how it turned out. So when it comes to this palette right here, the Eyes Are the Window palette from Stila, some of the colors in here are not good. You guys saw that. Some of them are really not good, but there are other colors in here that are really beautiful, particularly the black, which I'm really a big fan of. The gray is also quite nice too, but I would say that if you're looking at the metallics in this palette and you're expecting like a really high shine, high impact, high level of metallicness, this is not the palette that you'll get that from. The shades in here, particularly these two shades, I mean, they're really beautiful, but they're not very opaque shimmer shadows. They're actually quite sheer, which might be what you're looking for. But this palette's a pretty palette. I definitely really like it. I wouldn't really say go out and buy it because I just feel like there's so many other palettes that are similar but are slightly better in terms of their consistency, in terms of how the shades look. If I'm being 100% honest with you, if I was looking at this palette today and thinking about should I buy it, should I not buy it, I would probably not buy it just because whenever I buy a palette, I'm looking for like consistent pigmentation, consistent blendability. I'm looking for consistency, you know? And this palette for $50 doesn't really give that. However, I am really happy with how this look turned out, and I definitely will not be getting rid of this because this is a really beautiful palette, just not something that I would just jump for. And also with this foundation, I actually kind of like this foundation. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. Like I said, the Fenty foundation, my all-time favorite. I feel like that is my favorite foundation, but just looking at my skin right now, again, I cannot give you a clear review because I haven't actually worn this foundation for an extended period of time, but looking at my face right now, I really like how it looks. It doesn't cover everything, which I kind of like. Not really looking for that full coverage anymore. I do have to say that I've only worn this foundation for like about 30 minutes, so I can't really tell you whether or not it's good, but based on my first impressions, the only problem that I can find is that it does settle into my fine lines, which is quite irritating, but other than that, it looks quite beautiful on my skin. So I will be reviewing this, so I will be wearing it a little bit more, and then I'll share what I think either on here or on Instagram. So yeah, check me out on Instagram. I will put the name down below and you'll be able to find my looks, and also a review of this foundation when I do get a chance to sort of play around with it and try it a little bit more. So that is the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I have rambled for such a long time in this segment, but I really wanted to give you my thoughts on those two products. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye guys.